Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stone Gasman live from New York City, and we're going to be doing an audio commentary for a movie called Wedding in White from 1972. First of all, apologize I'm a little late here. I had to reschedule about a half hour later, so I'm finally here. But I want to welcome you all to the commentary. I was not prepared for this movie. And what I mean by that, it wasn't so much I was not prepared to do a commentary for it. I wasn't prepared for what this movie was ultimately going to be. And honestly, I'm still a little on the fence as to what my true feelings are about this movie. And I think as we watch it together, this is my second time watching it. I think at some point about maybe three quarters, maybe four-fifths of the way through, I'm going to come up with my ultimate opinion on this weird little movie, which evidently it was produced in Canada. And evidently, it was such a hit in Canada that it won three Canadian Film Awards, including Best Feature Film. And aside from that, I also didn't know up until now that Roger Ebert wrote a 4-star review on it back in 1973. So I felt this was an ideal one to do for 1972 in terms of Canadian cinema. So, like I said, we have a lot to talk about with this movie and a lot to discover as well. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and kick this football off. I am at the beginning of Wedding in White, which you can rent over at Amazon, and you can also get it free on a Shout TV trial. Just go ahead and sign up for the week trial for Shout TV, and you can watch Wedding in White without having to pay for it. Just remember to end the trial as soon as it's finished, of course. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Wedding in White, 1972. We'll start on 3, 2, 1, and play. And we begin with some very somber, rather creepy music as we see the camera look up a flight of stairs. Now, I had no idea what the hell I was getting into with this movie. I know that it has some actors I very much admire, including Kane and Donald Pleasence. But aside from that, the only other thing I knew about this film was, of course, all the awards that it won for Canada in 1972. Wedding in White. Donald Pleasence, Kane, and Doris Petrie. Doris Petrie plays Donald Pleasence's wife, who leaves quite the impression in this film. Produced by John Vidette, yes. And so automatically we hear, sounds like footsteps and dogs barking, and you're wondering what is going on. It's a rather gothic opening almost. Director of photography, Richard Lederman. And yes, this is the very, very, very young, very, very beautiful Kane. And there is Donald Pleasence. We're pretty much introduced to them as soon as the movie opens. He's out there in his chair in the middle of the backyard, and she's just basically walking around the house. And now, Kane... she was probably most familiar to 1970s audiences in such films like The Last Detail, and she was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for the 1975 film Hester Street. Although I kind of knew her from her running gag cameo from the Muppet movie, written and directed by William Fruet. We have a lot to talk about with this guy, but But yeah, when I heard that Carol Kane was the lead in this film, I said to myself, "Shit, I got to add it to the list," because I've always liked Carol Kane as an actress, and um, by the '90s, unfortunately, she kind of disappeared. Though she had done other films like the Steve Martin comedy My Blue Heaven, which is actually a quasi sequel to Goodfellas, of all things. And this film is probably only known to Canadians nowadays. Although, to be honest, I wonder if this film does have any kind of classic status in Canada. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I mean, granted, you would think that it won these awards, and you think that would be enough for people to remember it. But I mean, honestly, I don't know. This movie is super obscure. We're talking about a movie that only has 6 reviews over at IMDb, which we will get to and talk about. But Donald Pleasence, I wasn't prepared for his performance in this film either. Now, I had just done the audio commentary for The Pied Piper, which is the Paramount movie that came out in 1972 based on the German legend. Did that about 24 hours ago. And he has a great role in that where he ends up he ends up getting married to a very young woman. And it's weird because in this film, he ultimately, well, I'm not going to give away the twist just yet. I'm not going to give away the twist just yet. I'll let it. This is a film that I'm not going to be talking about a whole lot. I mean, because I didn't expect a lot of people to show up for this commentary, but at the same time, there is stuff to talk about. And okay, like this actor right here, who was just nodding his head, he has a pretty substantial role in this movie, and he's actually in my favorite Canadian film of all time. Although, to be honest, it took me so long to actually click in my head. It was like, oh yeah, that guy. Well, his name is Doug McGrath, and he was also in Black Christmas, which is a Canadian film that came out in 1974 with Margot Kidder. And like I said, that is my favorite film from Canada in terms of Canadian film history. That's number one for me. And I've seen my fair share of other Canadian films, and and there's a lot of films that are from American production companies that are actually shot in Canada. I mean, hell, there's a lot of television shows shot in Canada, including most infamously Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, which the subtitle should have been Jason Takes Vancouver. But at any rate, let's continue talking about the lovely Carol Kane here, because, like I said, it just seemed like every time she popped up into a movie, she would always, bring this very mousy but very delightfully mousy, attitude to a lot of her characters. And she's been in a lot of big films. I mean, now Wedding in White, while this was a huge deal for her as an actress, because essentially she was well, I mean, she was born in 1952, so that means in this film she was approximately 19 years old. This is a 19-year-old Carol Kane in all her mousy lovely glory. But and as I said before, that there's a number of films, like she was only in 2 films before Wedding in White. Desperate Characters, which I did a commentary for last year. That's a film with Shirley MacLaine based on a really good book. And she was also in Carnal Knowledge with Jack Nicholson. And she would, of course, end up, I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Nicholson gave her a call to appear in The Last Detail, which is one of my favorite films of the 70s. And she kind of has this thankless role in the movie as a quote-unquote young whore. She's actually billed in the movie as young whore. And but And so after that, she was in Dog Day Afternoon, as Al Pacino liked to call her, the squirrel. She was the one hiding under the desk that the third guy that runs out, he gives her away and everything. So she's in Dog Day Afternoon. She's also in Annie Hall. She plays one of the girlfriends that Woody has over the course of the film. She's also in Gene Wilder's The World's Greatest Lover, the Muppet movie, which, like I mentioned before. Now, most horror fans, admittedly, most horror fans probably know her best from When a Stranger Calls, which to me wasn't really much more than just a ripoff of Black Christmas. But it's weird that we have both Doug McGrath, who played the cop in Black Christmas, where Margot Kidder gives him the fake phone number of Fellatio, and he seriously has no idea what she's talking about. But yeah, Doug McGrath is in Black Christmas, and like I said, here he is right here, with a cigarette in his hand, and he's already like, it's like he's already touching things that he's not supposed to touch. Let's put it that way. He's already made himself a rather unwelcome presence in this household. And we will see later why he ultimately disappears for pretty much the second half of the movie. Donald Pleasence right here talking to Doug McGrath, and also the son, which, by the way, the son kind of disappears for half of the movie too. But the son is played by Paul Bradley. Yeah, Paul Bradley. He was born in 1940. And he was a Canadian actor best known for his role as Joey in the classic Canadian film Going Down the Road. Bradley and his Going Down the Road co-star Doug McGrath, right here, also in Wedding in White, were jointly named the winners of the Canadian Film Award for Best Actor in 1970. Oh, wow. So yeah, Paul Bradley and Doug McGrath, both of whom are on screen here right now. Both of them are literally on screen sitting at the table. They were both jointly the best Canadian actor of 1970. And to be honest, I had only seen Doug McGrath before, and that was only in Black Christmas, of course. But the other films that Paul Bradley has been in is This Is the Law, The Heart, Lauren Terrific Hour, and The White Oaks of Jana, as well as the films The Merry Wives of Tobias Rourke and Lions for Breakfast. And he died in 2003 in Victoria, British Columbia, at the age of 62. Now, I think what I'm going to do, because IMDb is a little bit more accurate with this stuff. But, okay. So, yeah, Wedding in White is so obscure, it only has 6 reviews on IMDb. And yes, I'm going to read all 6 of those reviews. One, of course, happens to be from a buddy of mine from Twitter. All right, so we got Canadian Gothic, written in 2000 by Michael Will. Young Carol Kane set the pattern for her screen persona as a kindly but dim-bulbed teen in this dark kitchen sink drama set in small-town Ontario during World War II. Her older brother, home on leave, brings with him a worthless army buddy. Yeah, worthless is absolutely the word to describe him, who ends up forcing himself upon her after a night of drunken carousing. So yes, she is going to be raped by her brother's army buddy, and it's not a very graphic scene. I mean, for 1972, even though this has an R rating, the rape scene is actually very, very mild. I mean, you only see their faces in close up, and we'll get to the scene when we come to it. but it's still extremely hard to watch, especially since here again we have a lot to talk about when it comes to the military and this kind of thing, because this may be the Canadian military, but the American military isn't much different. It is much different, and it's rather depressing, as we'll soon see. But I was actually, in that review I just mentioned that they called this a kitchen sink drama. I was expecting more of a comedy drama. Maybe it was just because of the title, but I was honestly expecting something a bit more lighter that didn't involve rape and other proclivities that certainly for 1972 audiences may have been a bit strong. Now, here again, this is a Canadian production, and I don't know what the box office was when it was released in Canada in '72, but it certainly made a star out of Carol Kane. If anything, it definitely made a star out of Carol Kane, but it also gave Donald Pleasence another, awesome, richly written role to really exercise his chops on. And granted, this isn't a horror movie, but some people I've read that have written about this actually say it plays like a horror movie. There is something chilling about this movie. Honestly, there was only so much I can take of the production itself. There was only so much I could take of these rather drunken, slovenly characters. I mean, I love Carol Kane, but man, this is a very sad role. And she's wonderful, and I think she does make the movie worth watching. But if you're a Donald Pleasence fan, I would also recommend this for fans of Pleasence as well. If you're a fan of these two actors, I would say absolutely give this a shot. But it's a tough sell for anybody else. It's a really tough sell for everybody else, because I don't know. Maybe there's just so much I was able to take of the rather dull 1940s, Canadian, it seems all rather gloomy. I mean, even though it's a period film, and of course it's set in World War II and everything, and you can tell that by all the propaganda posters. But I don't know. I just there's something rather visually drab about this movie that I wasn't able to fully get over. And although there is excellent use of shadows in many of these scenes, like I said, I was really on the fence for the entire running time up until the ending. And then I had no idea what to think about this movie. But so yeah, here we are in like a World War II dance hall. And like I said, this is set in Ontario, I just read. So, I mean, well, and Roger Ebert, I mean, let's get to Roger Ebert's review, because, I mean, usually when it comes to Roger Ebert, I don't always trust him when it comes to 4-star reviews, because I think, unlike Leonard Maltin, he tended to give 4 stars out more generously. I could see this movie as something that Roger Ebert himself would love, but like I said, this was a tough movie to watch. I mean, just on a visual level, on a story level. It's based on a play, of course. So actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's get the Roger Ebert review out of the way, because I don't necessarily buy everything he says in this review, but because it's a 4-star review, I feel the need to actually throw this out here. Okay. Jenny is the kind of girl you can never remember from high school, sort of pretty in a faded way, not very bright, and weighted down with a vast lack of confidence. She's 16 years old and very much in awe of her friend Dolly, who uses lipstick and has lots of nice clothes and an extensive collection of cheap costume jewelry. And to be perfectly honest, Dolly is one of the characters that I did not like in this movie. But the admiration she feels for Dolly, in fact, is about the only sharp emotion in her life. For the rest, she's listless and indifferent. She lives with her family in Canada in about 1943. Her father is a beer-guzzling good old boy in the Home Guard, and her brothers in the Army. One weekend, he comes home with a friend, and what with one thing leading to another, the friend sort of rapes her, and she confesses to her mom, "I think I'm in trouble." She says that several times throughout the movie, that she's in trouble, basically. Her father, enraged, beats her and plans to send her away, but one drunken night, he conceives a plan. And like I said, I'm not going to give away what that plan is until we get to it. Out of this commonplace story about ordinary people, the Canadian writer and director William Fruet has fashioned, quote, Wedding in White, a poignant, bitter, and sometimes surprisingly funny slice of life. It really does recreate its wartime society. Everything about it is right. The clothes, the dialogue, and particularly the prejudices and ignorance. I'll buy that. We don't feel we're being told a story. It's more like we're glimpsing the small joys and tragedies of unfortunate relatives. And that's the thing. I'm not interested in the small joys and tragedies of unfortunate relatives. The movie, which won the Canadian Film Festival, works so well, I think, because the performances are good. This I agree with. This material could never stand being fancied up by overacting. Donald Pleasence, that superb actor who is unsurpassed in his ability to project a banal evil. Remember, this was years before Halloween. Provides the force behind the plot as the father. Carol Kane as Jenny seems almost transparently vulnerable. Doris Petrie, who plays the mother, has a wonderful scene toward the end. Oh, she does. She pleads with her husband to understand their child. That I will give away right now. And yes, it is a very powerful scene. I will say that. That just seems right in revealing that she has been defeated by life and everything except a stubborn, lingering hope. The movie examines its small Canadian town with something of the same attention Peter Bogdanovich revealed in The Last Picture Show. The girls go to a dance, for example, and the band is made up of three elderly women on accordion, drums, and piano. Their two-step dance rhythms sound memorized to death. The dime stores, the soda fountains, the slang, and all work toward the final effect. And the effect is simply that of a small domestic tragedy. The girl's life has been ruined, not by her pregnancy, but by her father's ignorance. Yet she's too dim to even quite understand that. It's impossible for her to rebel, unthinkable to question her father. The movie ends without a message, without a statement, without any indication that the characters understand their own motivations. And yes, that does not give away the twist. In most movies, that would be a weakness, but here it's a strength because Fruit only wants to show us these people as they are. The result is one of the most merciless, strangely touching portraits of character I've ever seen in a movie. Only Mike Leigh's Bleak Moments from last year's Chicago Film Festival comes to mind in comparison. That was Roger Ebert's 4-star review for Wedding in White. And to be fair, he does make some, I think, excellent points. And yes, I do believe him they get the period right. I mean, like I said, I'm a sucker for period films, but this was a time and place that I got a little tired of after an hour, maybe. I mean, everywhere, all the war propaganda and, a couple of Coca-Cola signs, it's just not enough for me. So, now, this is actually a really cute scene, and that's why I thought this movie would be much lighter than it eventually came out to be. But I like how these girls sort of like, play around and flirt with these guys. I mean, indirectly. It's like, don't mind us. We're just having a couple cigarettes, Of course, Carol Kane is her character is pretty much copying everything her like wild friend does. I I didn't buy this friendship. And it's nothing against the actress who plays her friend either. I didn't buy this friendship at all. I mean, this. I mean, she feels more like somebody that she's just trying to hang around with to try to meet more people and everything. I never really bought this as a friendship, though. There's something. There's just something artificial about it. Jack Benny. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, everybody's like, "Who's Jack Benny again?" Yeah. uh, okay, so who is the writer and director of this film? Well, like I said, his name is William Fruet. Now, it's based on his play. He's still with us. He's 89 years old now. Wow. Canadian film and television director, playwright, and screenwriter, made his directorial debut with the drama Wedding in White, based on a play he had also written. The film won Best Picture at the Canadian Film Awards in 1973. His later career included several horror films. That explains why Wedding in White has a rather icky, sinister tone underneath the subtext. But at any rate, so his horror films include Death Weekend, 1972. Well, maybe I should do that one. Oh, no, actually, it's a 1976 film. But okay. Cries in the Night, Killer Party in 1986, as well as television series including Goosebumps and Poltergeist: The Legacy. Oh, wow. Other writing credits include the influential Canadian film Going Down the Road, which he co-wrote with Donald Shabib. Or Shabib. Probably Ben. Let's see. And his television credits include episodes of the Ray Bradbury Theater, My Secret Identity, Diamonds, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Friday the 13th, the series, okay, War of the Worlds, Counter-Strike, The Outer Limits, Goosebumps, Poltergeist, The Zack Files, Da Vinci's Inquest, Chasing Rainbows, Codename Eternity, and Zoe Buziak Wildcard. And he also had an acting role in the 1963 film Drylanders. So, yeah, after he did Wedding in White, he did some horror films like Death Weekend and Spasms and Trapped. And, oh, he also directed the original Bedroom Eyes. Oh, well, okay. I've not seen the original Bedroom Eyes. I've seen the sequel, which has, what's her name? Shannon Tweed in it. I admit I'm ashamed to admit I've seen Bedroom Eyes too, but evidently William Fruet had nothing to do with that sequel. And let's see. Yeah, he's been retired for about 10 years now. That's about it. But yeah, this was his debut. And like I said, it won several awards at the Canadian uh, film ceremony. I think it won two others. I'd have to look up what they are exactly, but yeah, it won two others. I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of beer drinking, there's a lot of cigarette smoking. Now, I am sure that most Donald Pleasence fans probably have not even seen this, let alone heard of it. It may be the most obscure of his filmography next to The Pied Piper. I'm a huge fan of Wake and Fright, which is the Australian landmark Australian film where he's in the outback a lot of the time with his shirt off, drinking beer and shooting kangaroos. Very famous Australian film. You all should check it out. But then again, he also made his fair share of crap. Like my favorite of all the films that he made that were absolute crap was The Devil Within Her, aka I Don't Want to Be Born, where get this, Joan Collins is a stripper. One day, the stripper club dwarf attempts to seduce her, She rejects his advances, and then the dwarf basically puts a curse on her baby. And this was like an Exorcist Rosemary's Baby ripoff, and it's painfully bad. I mean, I can see some people laughing their ass off because I mean the scenes of the baby actually murdering people are unbelievably awful. Just unbelievably awful. I mean, you really begin to question, like, did they really take this stuff seriously? And Donald Pleasence actually plays Joan Collins' doctor, who is very unalarmed at the fact that the little tyke is getting more violent with each day, and he eventually gets killed by the little shit. Now, the in the role of the friend, oh, I'd have to go all the way over here to find out, but she needs to be talked about. Okay, yeah. In the role of Dolly, this is Bonnie Carroll Case. She was also in movies like The Police Surgeon and The Bananas. In fact, that's the only other movie she was in. Yeah, she did a TV series called Police Surgeon, and she did a TV series called The Bananas. So, okay, so yeah, that's the only thing, only other credits she has, and this is her only film in her entire resume. Other than that, there's absolutely nothing I can talk about this woman. Well, I should talk about Doug McGrath a bit more because he's going to be leaving the proceedings here very very soon, um, and I think audiences are good and glad to see him go once he does get out of there. But oh god, yeah. Okay, so Doug McGrath is still alive. He was born in 1935. He was also in Porky's, which of course was from the same director as Black Christmas, Bob Clark, and he was also in Clint Eastwood's Pale Rider, of all things. But see, his last movie was in 2015. He also appeared in The Rocketeer as a reporter. Let's see. Oh yeah, Pale Rider. He played Spider Conway. He was in the segment Time Out in Twilight Zone, the movie. The Escape Artist, 1982. That's about as obscure as it gets when it comes to 80s cinema, right there. He played Coach Warren in Porky's, and he was also in Bronco Billy. So yeah, he did a couple of Clint Eastwood movies actually. Oh, he was also in The Gauntlet. He played the bookie in Clint Eastwood's The Gauntlet. Outlaw Josie Wales. He played League. Somebody could probably fix me on that. But yeah, Wedding in White was his third film after Going Down the Road and The Rowdy Man. And yeah, Wedding in White. And then after that, he was in Black Christmas as Sergeant Nash, which, like I said, is my favorite Doug McGrath role. He's just wonderfully, wonderfully stupid in that. He just had no idea that fellatio was a sexual term. He literally thought it was a phone number. I mean, and yeah, back then they used to have letters along with numbers when they do phone calls, believe it or not. Yeah. But yeah, it's just really weird. I got to say it one more time, but it's just really weird that you have one actor from Black Christmas, and then you have the star of When a Stranger Calls. It's really weird. Yeah, I mean, none of this gets really graphic. I mean, we have just enough of all this molestation to get the point. Not below the belt. when they have to seriously struggle like that, I mean, it's like, why even bother? Why even bother? Ugh. I mean, and that's the thing, because of the music. I mean, some of these scenes play like a horror movie. They really do. You touch me, you son of a bitch, and I'll wake everybody in the second flat. Oh man. Now, all I'm saying is she isn't much of a friend because she left Carol Kane very, very vulnerable. Although, to be fair, as an audience, we didn't know exactly where she was going to be sleeping yet. Of course, if I was her father, I would have been like, no, 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 you're staying in your own room. You're going to be nowhere near these guys. And Doug McGrath, I mean, he plays a great slime in this. I mean, he's just he's a slug. He's a total slug in this, and he plays this role with conviction. But here again, after he does what he does, you just want to see him leave. You just want to see him leave and never come back on the screen, and that's kind of a testament to how good he is. Like I said, I'm glad. Black Christmas being my favorite Canadian film, it's pretty cool to see him doing a even if it's a rotten role. I mean, it's a pretty rotten role, but man, he's really good in this. Mm. Now, time to get a little incendiary because okay, well, look, we're about to uh, watch her get raped. I mean, not graphically; it's not a graphic rape scene, but like I said, the performances, I think, make it make it very hard to stomach, especially her crying. It's very, very, very powerful. Now, I should state that in 2012, there was a documentary that came out that was nominated for an Academy Award called The Invisible War. And The Invisible War was basically about the rape culture that has been permeating in the United States military for 8 decades, ever since World War II. And and it pretty much remains the military's most well guarded secret, where not only is there basically epidemic of rape, but a lot of times the victims are persecuted and punished while the perpetrators are uh, advanced. And this has been a serious problem for many, many decades. And The Invisible War, as powerful as that documentary was, and like I said, it was nominated for an Academy Award from the same documentarian that did This Film Is Not Yet Rated, which is one of my favorite documentaries about the Motion Picture Association of America. And he's gone on to make other documentary films about sexual assault and how it's a problem like on college campuses with the documentary The Hunting Ground, that kind of thing. But Kirby Dick's goal is mainly to expose the secrets of institutions and organizations to alleviate the corruption and the cover-ups that take place. And in the military, it's a very sad reality. Uh, it's no wonder that there is a diagnosis out there known as military sexual trauma, or MST. And here again, I mean, and here's the most disgusting part. As the documentary proved or showed with all these data and all these statistics, is that a lot of the perpetrators go unpunished, and so when they get out of the military, they're just let back out in society. they essentially are, they a lot of them would essentially become predators at that point. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, but yeah, it's the military's most closely guarded secret. I mean, not a lot of people will talk about it, but it's the absolute truth. I mean, a lot of the lot of them get drunk, they don't listen to no as being, they think no means yes, and just everything goes from there. But still, the retaliation is what really makes it all the more worse. So, but anyway, go check out that documentary, The Invisible War, which, like I said, I think it's one of the more important documentaries of the past few decades. Now, see, here at this point, he realizes, I need to get the fuck out of here. I mean, it's the next morning. He's kind of sobered up, a little hungover, probably, and he's like, "Oh fuck, man, I raped my friend's teenage sister." Yeah, acting so guilty. I mean, yeah, his goal is to basically get out of there as soon as possible. And to be honest, we do kind of want him to leave. I mean, sure, we want to see maybe some kind of revenge taken against him. But then again, this is not a rape revenge movie. I mean, oh, God. Now, my buddy John over at Twitter, he did his own review of the movie on IMDb, and he was pretty harsh. He was actually the polar opposite of what Roger Ebert said. And like I said, there's only 6 reviews at IMDb for Wedding in White, only 6. But he calls this torturous, and he only gave it 1 star out of 4. So Roger Ebert gave it 4, and my buddy John gave it 1. This is what he says. Writer director William Fruet, adapting his play about a 16-year-old Irish wallflower in a Canadian town during World War II who was raped in her own living room by the soldier power of her visiting brother, has a very limited vocabulary and an even narrower imagination. The wartime period decor is drably evoked. I agree with that. I absolutely agree. While the characters are of a frustratingly limited intelligence. Again, I agree with that. Fruet has his cast emote and emote until the actors are shiny faced with sweat. Worst of the offenders is Paul Bradley as the Dougal family's son celebrating being home on leave. Bradley, acting drunk with his mouth hanging open, looks almost as old as Donald Pleasence playing his father. That's a good point. As the Wallflowers' would-be loose, self-centered girlfriend, screechy Bonnie Carroll Case is nearly as bad, and no explanation has been provided to how these polar opposites ever became friends, or why Case is so eager to meet soldiers but barely notices the 2 army men in her own friend's dining room. I didn't read that review before. I just know that he wrote a highly negative review on it, but I said that literally 20 minutes ago. In the lead, young Carol Kane has been directed by Fruet to stay doe-eyed and vulnerable with a humiliated look on her face. Still 3 years away from her breakthrough role in Hester Street, Carol Kane exudes promise, but can't do much to bring shading or subtlety to this overstated scenario. Now, see, that's the thing. I think Carol Kane is really good. I think Donald Pleasence is very good. Yeah, Bonnie Carroll Case is. I can't stand her character. I mean, whatever the actress was trying to do, I don't know. But yeah, I can't stand her character at all. And I like the lady that plays Pleasence's husband. I mean, excuse me, Donald's wife here. Pleasence's husband. What the hell? I'm a little tired. Forgive me. But let's see. Her name is Doris Petrie. She plays Mary Dougal in this movie. See, she passed away at the age of 82 in the year 2000 in Ontario, Canada. And let's see. She was in Scanners 2, The New Order. She was also in Friday the 13th, the series as well. Oh, we have some Friday the 13th series graduates in this movie. It's really cool. Perry Mason Returns, The Littlest Hobo. And this was one of her first films. She also appeared in The Rowdy Man, which I mentioned before, as well as a television series called To See Ourselves. But she started out rather late in her career. She actually started out really late in her career. But yeah, one of her last movies was Scanners 2, The New Order. But hell, I got to say, I think that she gives one of the better performances in this movie. And like I said, when we get to that scene where she actually, breaks down in front of Donald Pleasence to actually beg to not send their daughter away somewhere because, she had committed a sin or whatever in the eyes of the Catholic Church. There was a movie made in Ireland and set in Ireland called the Magdalene Sisters, which where the Catholic Church had basically they basically kidnapped young women if they had been raped or if they had a child out of wedlock or if even if they had like a vampish beauty to them, and they would throw them into these Magdalene laundries and basically be sentenced to a lifetime of institutional servitude. The last laundry closed in 1996, and those laundries were around for 150 years. During that time, the women were, of course, abused, assaulted, and treated like cattle, stripped of their humanity when they never really committed any kind of crime. And of course, they never went through any kind of trial. And that and Spotlight, which is the Best Picture winner of 2015, told me everything I needed to know about the Catholic Church. Yeah. And Spotlight, of course, was about the cover up of all the pedophile priests that they've been protecting for decades, of course, well, actually centuries. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, even with all that child molestation, why would somebody remain Catholic? It makes no sense to me. I understand people are born in different places, and they're brought up in different households and different environments. But I can't help but question, why would you remain a Catholic when you find out that they've been covering up molestation and assault for centuries? I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. And here again, it's all about, you go out of your way to punish the victims, which is the most despicable part about it all. And this film, of course, has that. It has that element. Yeah, I'm with you, John. I am not a fan of hers. I mean, she's just, yeah. I mean, like I said, their friendship is never really fully defined or clearly defined. I mean, like I said, I just don't buy them. I don't buy them as friends. Like I said, if she were a true friend, she would have looked out for her. She probably should have even stayed over to make sure. Oh, she's about to huck a loogie. You want a nice, big, juicy one? Oh, God. So, okay, so everybody that's watching, thank you so much for joining me tonight. We just passed the 47-minute mark. We just passed the 47-minute mark of Wedding in White, and we have about 55 minutes to go. Yeah, this movie isn't too long. It's only 103 minutes, but it probably could have used a little trimming. I would have been happy if this was like an 88-minute movie. I think it would have been a lot more effective, actually. That's one of my criticisms when it comes to Wedding in White. It is too long. It is drawn out a bit, and I think this whole plot is fairly easy and simple to actually you know work with. That I mean, I just don't see why this film is 103 minutes long. Oh, so she did steal something. Yeah. Don't get into those bad habits, all that peer pressure, You don't want to get into it. I wish I could be a little bit more. I wish I could talk a little bit more about the Canadian military, maybe for just subtext here. But honestly, I don't think it was all that important for this commentary. But okay, Donald Pleasence. Let's go back to Donald Pleasence for a minute because now, as everybody knows, he is Dr. Loomis in the Halloween series. I think he appeared in six films, maybe seven if you count Halloween Kills. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. He did a lot more than just Halloween, and I've really discovered the breadth of his filmography since then. I mean, he did a lot of movies. In 1989 alone, he did one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine movies. He did nine movies in 1989, including Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. So he was a busy boy. He was a busy boy in the 80s. In 1987, 12 movies. Yeah, 12 movies in 1987. Oh, wow. He did a lot in 1984, too. I mean, that's what I'm saying. He's done a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Oh, I forgot he was in the 1979 version of Dracula, which is actually really good. Really underrated, too. But James Bond fans know him as Blofeld from You Only Live Twice. Some people know him from Cul-de-sac or The Greatest Story Ever Told, where he played Satan. He was also in The Great Escape. I forgot that he was the forger in The Great Escape. But I mean, long, long, long distinguished career. I mean, that's the thing. His first credit, 1954, The Beachcomber. Yeah, that was his first movie in 1954, and his last one being, of course, Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. Oh no, I've never seen that. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, long distinguished career, and I'm telling you, after watching him in this as well as Pied Piper, which I did just a couple nights ago, Donald Pleasence, he has a lot of range. I mean, he's really good. Just don't watch I Don't Want to Be Born. Okay, watch anything with Donald other than I Don't Want to Be Born, because that's about the it's about probably the nadir of his career. Absolutely. But yeah, he and his friend Sandy here, they have come home very, very drunk, very, very happy after this this award and everything. Fools, That's what they are. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Donald Pleasence is on fire in this movie. He really is. I mean, he may be playing drunk half the time. Like I said in like Wake and Fright. I mean, he played drunk half the time in that movie too. And I wouldn't be surprised if the actor was drunk in the last few Halloween movies he did. I wouldn't blame the man. Oh, Dying Breed. Great to see you, sir. Yeah, late night stream. I dig it. Yeah, I've started to do some commentaries at like 1:30 in the morning. So, and I just scheduled a bunch of them. I mean, I'll be doing all four international movies this month from 1972, and next month in October, I will be doing all horror films. So from 1972. So, yeah. That's what I'll be doing for September and April is the international films and the horror films of 1972, respectively. All right, now who plays Sandy? Real quick. I mean, he doesn't have much of a role, but he does have a pivotal role in the movie, so it should be discussed as well. Oh yeah, I will also be doing a commentary on Deathline next month, and that movie also has Donald Pleasence. So we're going to be doing 3 films from 1972 with Donald Pleasence. Awesome, awesome. Let's see. Okay, Sandy is played by Leo Phillips, born 1914 in Sunderland. That's weird. They don't have a death date for him. He is an actor known for Festival, The Unforeseen, and The Scarlet Web. That's about it. That's about it for Leo Phillips. Let me see. Well, nothing much on him either. Let's see. But yeah, we're coming up here on the 55-minute mark. The 55-minute mark for Wedding in White from 1972. The winner of Best Picture for the country of Canada. And like I said, for pretty much of my first viewing, I was extremely torn as to how exactly I felt about this movie, because on one hand, I did find it a bit disturbing, especially with the final shot. The final shot is just it reminded me of Repulsion a little bit, the Roman Polanski movie, when it comes to the music and everything. It just has this very, very like icky, disturbing feeling to it. They can never seem to hold their tongues. Yep. Once they got the drink in them. Exactly. See, old men, they like flattering young girls with a lot of sweet talk. But yeah, here again, foreshadowing. Like I said, the ending, it ends on a very, very disturbing twist, which I'm not going to reveal yet. Like I said, I'm just going to let it play out when it comes to it. I'm just going to let it play out. Now, Doris Petrie, she was also in Funeral Home, a 1980 movie called Funeral Home, and also the television series High Hopes. And she also had guest appearances in the series Seeing Things, Airwaves, Night Heat, The Littlest Hobo, Forever Night, Tech War, Tech Lords, Road to Avonlea, Olden Days Coat, Love and Hate, The Story of Colin and Joanne Thatcher. And she was born in Nova Scotia, passed away in Toronto in the year 2000. She was the mother of television journalist Ann Petrie. Okay. But let's see. Now the music. Now I just mentioned the music as having reminded me of like Repulsion or like Carnival of Souls. Here again, considering this is not a horror movie, it's pretty creepy stuff. But he was a Czechoslovak and Canadian arranger, composer, and conductor. His name is Milan Kimlicka. Born in 1936, passed away in 2008, and known for his compositions of film and television scores, including those for the animated television series Rupert, Babar, The Busy World of Richard Scarry, and a kindergarten favorite of mine, which I still have watched from time to time, The Adventures of Paddington Bear. If you remember, long before the two live-action movies came out, there was a series of like 5-minute shorts featuring Paddington Bear, and I remember they basically debuted in England in 1976, and I discovered them in kindergarten in like 85, something like that. So I became a massive fan of Paddington Bear earlier on. But the fact that he also did the score for that series kind of blows my mind a little bit. Here again, a little creepy. He received the Genie Award in 1996 for his work on the movie Margaret's Museum. Now, that is a Canadian movie I have seen, directed by Mort Ranson and based on the Sheldon Curie novel. And it stars Helena Bonham Carter as a woman named Margaret McNeil, set in the 1940s in Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. The film tells the story of a young girl living in a coal mining town where the death of men from accidents in the pit or the mines has become almost routine. It's also got Kate Nelligan and Clive Russell and Andrea Morris. Yeah, I've seen Margaret's Museum. It's excellent. In fact, a Canadian friend on Twitter recommended it to me, and I was like, oh yeah, that was very good. That was very good. I think she said it was her favorite film to be produced in Canada, but I don't remember. But yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, this composer, considering what Lily did, I like pretty much everything he does now, or he did rather. Let's see. After the Prague Spring in 1968, the music composer Kim Licka emigrated to Canada, where he settled in Toronto, Ontario, which is where this was filmed. By the early 1970s, he was working as a studio arranger conductor at the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. In 1974, Kim Licka became a naturalized Canadian citizen. That year, he arranged music for and conducted the Hamilton Philharmonic. Accompanying pop musician Ian Thomas, his arrangements were included on some of Thomas's recordings in the 1970s. And he continued working as a composer, arranger, and conductor for film, television, and radio. His composition Four Valses was recorded by pianist Antonin Kubelik in New York. Kim Licka died in Toronto in 2008. Among his last released works was Zavaj Dekani Tuhami, originally by Tanita Tikaram, and arranged for the 2008 album Orohozeni Dra. That's Czechoslovakian. Yes. Now, I might as well say right now that I will be doing an audio commentary for a film from Czechoslovakia. And remember, this was years ago. I mean, now it's known as the Czech Republic, but back then it was known as Czechoslovakia. Yeah, in 1993, Czechoslovakia was dissolved with its constituent states becoming the independent states of the Czech Republic and Slovakia. So basically, yeah, Czech and Slovakia basically split and became two independent states, basically. But I will be doing a Czechoslovakian film called The Girl on the Broomstick. And yes, it is in fact about a teen witch. And I will be doing that tomorrow at 1 a.m. And I'm doing that tomorrow. I just realized I need to do it tomorrow because tomorrow is the 50th anniversary of the day it debuted in Czechoslovakia. So tomorrow morning at 1 a.m., I will be doing the commentary for this Czechoslovakian film called The Girl on the Broomstick. Hope you can all join me for that. So we are coming up on the 1 hour, 2 minute, and 30-second mark. 1 hour, 2 minute, and 30 seconds. And we have approximately 40 minutes left to go of Wedding in White. Now, I mean, that's the thing. I got these surroundings, as authentic as they may be. I mean, this is just all very drab. Visually, this is just a very, very drab movie. And good acting aside, it's just a hard one to recommend if you're not a fan of the actors. And ultimately, I think I've come to realize that since we have about 40 minutes to left and I'm finally forming my ultimate opinion on this movie. I honestly think that Roger Ebert really overpraised it a bit with his 4-star review. I think he just gave it a little too much credit than it necessarily deserves. Honestly, twist aside, final twist aside, this is a slow watch. It's a slow burn of a movie that just, at times I got a little impatient with it. Here again, I do think the film is too long and that it could have used some editing. But at the same time, it does provide enough in terms of performance and also some good dialogue that it's watchable, but I do think it's a bit overpraised, or at least I do think it was very overpraised in 1972. Here again, Donald Pleasence and Carol Kane and the actress playing the mother aside, there's not a lot here to really latch on to. And it would be very interesting to see what horror fans think of this movie when they find out. Of course, this was the debut of somebody who became not exactly prolific in horror, but at the same time directed his fair share of horror films for the rest of his career. Especially since we have Donald Pleasence, acting up a storm. I mean, he really is one of the best things about this movie. And that's the thing. If it was just Carol Kane or Donald Pleasence and not both of them, I do think this movie would be borderline unwatchable. In all honesty, I think at that point it would be borderline unwatchable, just because it's so drab and downbeat, and here again, dealing with people who are just not very honorable. People who are not very. Here again, Donald Pleasence. I could watch him act all day, but at the same time, I do think that this movie it falls short of goodness. I think it falls short of being a must-see movie, and instead merely is a watchable movie. The final twist will ultimately make or break your opinion, to be perfectly honest. And as interesting as the twist was it really worth it getting to that point? And that's what I have to ask myself with this film. Here again, of all the commentaries I've done up until now, I've never been more on the fence than I have been about this movie I'm watching right now, which is Wedding in White. Oh, Donald Pleasence must have been, he's eating and acting. That's pretty cool right there. Oh shit. Yeah, when I saw when he grabs her and everything, it's pretty scary when his eyes bulge out like that. Pretty scary stuff, actually. Excuse me. And of course, it's painful to see, this woman who was, this child, essentially, this teenager who was raped, and the father is instead taking it all out on her, which is just it's just unbearable. It's and see, the thing is, even though there are a few powerful scenes in this movie, I mentioned before, the scene is coming up of the mother begging Donald Pleasence not to send the daughter away. That scene is great. There's some other good little scenes here and there, mostly with Donald Pleasence. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Look at him right here. He's acting up a storm. He's going off like a Roman candle now. Roman candle, fresh bought. And of course, Sandy, his lifelong army buddy, is trying to calm him down and everything. Yeah, exactly. You don't understand it. He actually says that. He actually says, "I've got a whore for a daughter." Like, oh man, like. And here again, I mean, different time and place. The Catholic Church being a horrible influence here, but here again, hard to watch, very hard to watch. And that's what I'm saying, is that I may be a Carol Kane fan still, and I still love Donald Pleasance, but I will never ever see this movie again. It's just too depressing. It's too depressing. Its resolution is interesting. I wouldn't know if I would exactly call it satisfying. And here again, I mean, authentic period detail is great, but it would only take the movie so far. There's no reason for the movie to be as drab visually as it is, even if everything is authentic down to all the costumes and everything. But there's just nothing that stands out. There's nothing that stands out, about the production aside from the supposed authenticity. I mean, like I said, very, very hard sell for, audiences in 1972 and audiences, and particularly audiences now. Unless you're a fan of Carol Kane and Donald Pleasence, eh. I mean, they really go a long way to make this watchable. They really, really do. But I got 4 other reviews at IMDb to read because, like I said, there's only 6 user reviews, and I've already read 2. I've already read 2 of them. Now, a lot of these other reviews actually do lean on the positive side. So I read the review Canadian Gothic, and I've read the review Torturous, written by my buddy Moonspinner55. 6 out of 10. Small Canadian indie. It's World War II in a small working class Canadian town. Jenny Dougal is a good girl living at home with her parents. Her brother Jimmy comes home on furlough with a military buddy, Billy. After a night of drinking, Jeannie's friend rejects Billy, who ends up raping her instead. Jeannie gets pregnant. Her father refused to believe a soldier would act so dishonorably. Oh, he forces her to marry his elderly drunken war buddy, Sandy, to maintain his honor. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead, since we're up to an hour and 11 minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and let the cat out of the bag right now. Donald Pleasence, at the end of the movie, marries his 16-year-old daughter, who was just raped by one of her brother's army buddies and is now pregnant. Donald Pleasence is marrying her off to his longtime war buddy, Sandy. Now, did this twist necessarily ruin the movie for me? Not quite. It didn't quite ruin the movie for me. Here again, the final shot is so haunting. The final shot in this movie is so haunting. I'm almost willing to forgive, you know, how drab and dry and longer than it needs to be. I could forgive those things. That being said, I just don't think there's enough to justify in the 100 minutes before that final shot to justify sitting through the whole thing at least again. So in my own weird way, I respect what the writer and director was trying to do with this film, based on his own play, like I said. But at the same time, I think it just comes off as just much too off-putting. Just much too off-putting and much too visually dreary. But at any rate, this 6 out of 10 review says, it's pretty good. The accent is a little tough. The production is definitely older. It's grimy and old working class. The acting from Pleasence and Petrie is terrific. Carol Kane is sadly naive and in need of a big hug. Well, yeah. It does need more in terms of intensity. I wonder if the film needs a scene where Jenny begs Billy to accept his part in the pregnancy. This movie needs something to elevate the drama. I think he was trying to depend upon the ending to elevate the drama, and it didn't quite work. At least for me. 8 out of 10. Wow. 16-year-old Jenny's brother has just come back from the army. He brings a friend named Billy along because Billy has nowhere to go. After a drunken night out, Billy rapes Jenny as she sleeps on the couch. Billy and Jeannie's brother Jimmy leave, and the next morning, Jenny is left hurt, afraid, and pregnant. Once her parents find out, they blame no one but Jenny. Her mother begs the fathers not to send Jenny away. They let her say blah, 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 blah. That's a lot younger here. I believe she's about 19. I still can't believe how great she was with it being one of her first films. I felt so bad for her throughout the whole movie. Once again, mad props to Carol Kane, who without her, this film wouldn't be as great as it was. I still don't think it's great. I mean, she's great. I don't think the movie is great. Incredible. The last review, incredible. I just finished seeing Wedding in White, and I have to say that the experience was somewhat akin to seeing Werner Herzog's Even Dwarfs Started Small or Duke's Address Unknown for the first time. For those who can tolerate this kind of difficult subject matter, I highly recommend this film. Talk about subconscious cruelty. Well, yeah, subconscious cruelty basically does sum it up, doesn't it? It's just, why would any father do this? It just seems like, and that's the thing. Maybe I'm pretty sure that there are some Canadian historians that could probably, give me a bit more of an argument for this movie and its supposed greatness. I don't see its supposed greatness. I don't see what Roger Ebert saw, and I certainly don't see what some of those other reviewers saw with the movie. But what I did see was, a fairly watchable story with some good actors, a interesting final twist, but as a whole, it just doesn't quite come together. And I do think it falls short in terms of the drama, in terms of the emotion. I do think it falls short. But I can't say I've seen another Canadian film from 1972, so what do I know? For some reason, this movie got to the Canadians. A meal fit for a king. That's what I'm saying. The actor playing Sandy, basically acts drunk the whole time. And here we have Donald Pleasence rolling another cigarette here. It's almost that. Yeah, did they do that during the whole movie? Just like roll cigarettes and drink. Well, in Wake and Fright, you want to see something scary. Donald Pleasence just shirtless and eating old runny beer and like kangaroo meat with his new companion. Uh, Seriously, I mean, every Donald Pleasence fan has to check out Wake and Fright. That is prime Donald Pleasence right there, without a doubt. Just prime Donald Pleasence. Okay, so we're getting into the third act here, which of course is all built around the fact that Donald Pleasence is going to marry off his daughter to his friend Sandy, just so she could be married and not, be a sinner or whatever. It's still pretty despicable. I mean, this poor girl goes through so much, and there's just no catharsis. There's just no redemption. There's no, you know, hope for her character at any point throughout this whole movie. And it's just, it's a downer, man. It's just a downer to see how she is used and abused in this movie. I mean, it's really sad and it's really difficult to watch. And I'm glad that when this is over, I will never see this movie again. Look, if you guys want to check it out, be my guest. Okay. I mean, I can kind of see why it had the reputation that it did and the acclaim that it did. But here again, I will never see this ever again. Never again. Who the hell would touch her now? Well, if I was a few years younger, I sure as yeah. Jesus Christ, man. I mean, that's the thing. Like any other father, I think would have just broke his teeth, for saying something like that. It's just this third act is just unbelievably cruel and nasty, and it's hard to stomach, even with that final shot, which we're getting to it, of course. That final shot is kind of like the cherry of a cake of shit. a cake of just a cake of yuck. Ugh, man. And here, Sandy's just going on and on about being married to a teenager like her. It's just, oh God, man. Oh. I mean, I've dealt with these subplots in other films before, but and maybe it's just the thing because there's nothing graphic about this movie. It doesn't cross a line in terms of what it shows, but the fact that they're just talking about it so casually, it makes it makes it just as sick and disturbing. It's a hell of a friendship, Jesus. Put on the Victrola. How about some music? Go wake the girl and bring her down. Oh, and to make things worse, they just have to play bagpipe music just to make things worse. I mean, I can't say this film doesn't make me feel anything because, oh my God, does it generate so many negative feelings. But like I said, maybe 2.5 stars out of 5. Very middle of the road, watchable, but at the same time, I just don't think there's anything memorable. I don't think there's anything memorable about this movie. And there's only so much I can watch of sad Carol Kane. It's like watching Florence Pugh in Midsummer. There's only so much I can take of that face before I'm like, nah, I'd rather watch the actress than something else. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we are coming up on 1 hour and 22 minutes. 1 hour and 22 minutes into Wedding in White. And we have just over 20 minutes left. Just over 20 minutes left. Mm. Mm. So, like I said, I'll probably be back at 1 a.m. pretty much every weekday morning this week. So you'll see me back here for Thursday and Friday at 1 a.m. Tomorrow, I will be doing the Czechoslovakian film The Girl on the Broomstick. And on Friday, I will be doing Eric Romer's Love in the Afternoon. So after we leave Czechoslovakia, we're going to go to Paris, France. And we're going to do Love in the Afternoon. And on Saturday night, we're going to be doing a double feature. On Saturday night, we're going to be doing a double feature of the French farce The Tall Blonde Man with One Black Shoe. And I will also be doing a bonus commentary for the American remake starring Tom Hanks called The Man with One Red Shoe. Those will be both on Saturday night at 9 p.m. And it'll take about 3 hours for both of those movies since they're about 90 minutes each. And then finally on Sunday night, we will be doing the French classic, the Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, written and directed by Louis Bunel. I'm going to get that pronunciation right before Sunday. I promise you. I promise I'm going to get that pronunciation right. So yeah, we'll be in France for next weekend, and then the weekend after that we'll be in Germany, and then the weekend after that we'll be in Italy, and then we're also, of course, going to go to Jamaica. We're going to go to Hong Kong. We're going to go to Japan. So we're going to be going all over the world this month. Trust me, we're going to be going all over the world. And don't quote me, but I think on the very last day, that's when we're going to do Solaris, the 2.5 hour space epic that was released in Soviet Russia in 1972. They're actually doing a 50th anniversary screening of that. Now I just said the title and it escaped me. Solaris. That's right. Yeah, so they're going to be doing that at the New York Film Festival in October, but it looks like I will probably be doing the commentary Friday, September 30th. Maybe Saturday, October 1st. But I definitely do want to do Solaris. Otherwise, the rest of the time I'll be watching Bernardo Bertolucci movies to prepare for a tragedy of a ridiculous man, which that commentary will be on the 24th of September. But yeah, I mean, go to my YouTube channel. I have the majority of all of them scheduled and ready to go. So looking forward to doing them. Really looking forward to going to all these countries and checking out all these films. But I'll tell you right now, Canada is going to be one of my least favorite spots that I've hit on this journey. I mean, something tells me that Wedding in White just doesn't match something like the Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, or Cries and Whispers. We're going to be doing the Ingmar Bergman film from Sweden. Really looking forward to all those. She was here asking about the wedding. Yeah, and this is probably one of the most bleakest wedding sequences ever seen. It's certainly not a joyous occasion. It's actually the complete opposite. It's a pretty torturous experience. Actually, I will agree with John, is that the final wedding sequence, which was all filmed on the very first day, that sequence is pretty torturous. It it may go on for 14 minutes. Oh, I really like Carol Kane's pigtails. There's your wedding dress. Oh man. Like I said, I had no idea when I sat down to watch this that the story was going to involve, rape and uh, 60-year-old men marrying teenagers who are pregnant. I mean, ugh. I had no idea it was going to be anything like this. And we're coming up here on the 1 hour and 28-minute mark. 1 hour and 28 minutes. We got 15 minutes left to go for Wedding in White. Here again, Donald Pleasence, terrific. Carol Kane and the actress that plays the mother, all three of them are terrific. Everything else, ugh. It's a tough road. This movie, it's just it's a tough one to get through. But like I said, by the end, I didn't get much out of this movie or this story, aside from a few good performances. I mean, I just don't think that there's much else to recommend here. I think Donald Pleasence lights up about 54 cigarettes throughout this entire movie. Oh man. Got some punch. And there's the wedding cake. Ugh. It's gonna make me puke. It's all gonna make me puke. Mm. And of course, her best friend had to show up wearing. I don't know if that's a dress I'd wear to a wedding, but see, I mean, Sandy is probably still very. He's probably still very hungover, and he's going through all this. Yeah, I can see why the mother would not be pleased about all this, but it's like the fear of God. Yeah, it's all about the fear of God with these people. Why they may not be lawfully joined together. Yeah, it's icky and disgusting, and in the early 70s, there was a series of basically what they were softcore pornography called the schoolgirl reports, where it would have like this educational value to them, but and they couldn't be accused of pornography because they go by actual statistics and everything. But it was all made up, it was all bullshit, and a lot of those movies are basically just elderly men going after young teenage women. That's what they are. Okay, I had to review a couple of them for DVD Verdict when I wrote for that website back in the day, and I was stunned at what these movies actually made money back in the 70s. That's pretty gross. I'm a man of a few years myself, but I gathered a bit of wisdom with it. She is so not looking forward to the consummation of the marriage, and I don't blame her. I mean, that's the thing. In a weird way, this does play like a horror movie. I mean, it just how any father could treat their daughter like this is beyond me. Although, to be fair, at least the rapist doesn't come back. And of course, slobbering drunk on the beer, as usual, to the bride. Ugh. Look at the mother. I mean, she looks like she's, aged, more years than she had planned or hoped. And now she looks ancient almost. I mean, maybe she dealt with years of abuse. We don't know. We don't know. But she's certainly not fighting for her daughter, which is very sad to see. If the director wanted to showcase like what it was really like with Catholic families back in World War II in Canada and how disturbing all this is, I would say he at least succeeded on that front. But here again, I'd rather watch Spotlight or the Magdalene Sisters again if I'm going to watch any movies involving the Catholic Church. I can only take so much of that topic. Let's put it that way. I can only take so much of it. Oh God. I mean, that's what I'm saying. These last few minutes where he's like dancing with her and everything, they're just grueling. I mean, I'm sorry, John is mostly right. And yet at the same time, there is cinematic value here. I wouldn't call this. I no, I can't give this movie like a 1 out of 10. Like I said, I'm more inclined to give this more like a 5 out of 10. It's watchable, but I just don't think that a lot of people nowadays would get much out of this movie. Like I said, unless you want to see a young Carol Kane and Donald Pleasence, there's just not much else to see here. Oh God, it's just when I was watching this the first time, I was just thinking, okay, can we wrap this up now? I'm pretty much done with this. But of course, there's that final shot, and we are getting to it. Ugh. Oh yeah, so Donald Pleasence is now his father-in-law. Oh, wonderful. And of course, they find all this hilarious. All right, we're at the hour and 35-minute mark. We have approximately 7.5 minutes left to go. Patient, everyone, patience. We are coming to that infamous final shot. They all should be on their way, so they leave the lovebirds alone. Oh shit! We can't go now. I've got beer in the cooler. Yay! Let's celebrate my daughter being just oh god, man. Ugh. I mean, Wake and Fright was disturbing too, but at least with that movie there was also a strong message to be announced in terms of the senseless murder of the kangaroos in Australia. I mean, it's just a lot of ick, a lot of ick, a lot of eh. And this actress certainly didn't help matters or her character. Well, yeah, everybody's leaving. It's about time. Uh, even the mother has to go. Oh, it'll be all right, Jenny. It'll be all right. Ugh, good Lord. Yeah, I'm just waiting. I mean, 5 minutes to go. I'm just waiting for this to end. I am so waiting for this to end. So yeah, needless to say, I'm going to sum it up with one final time. I'm going to sum it up by saying, look, unless you're a fan of Carol Kane or Donald Pleasence, I do not recommend Wedding in White. But here again, these last 5 minutes do have their merit. This shot of Sandy sitting there, practically passed out, is a really good point of view shot. It's a really, really good point of view shot right here. And of course, Carol Kane, terrified, sad, traumatized. I mean, you honestly do feel like that she's going to ultimately become like her mother one day. You know, very, very passive, very controlled, abused, all the above. He drops the bottle. He wakes up. And you know, when I first saw this, I was really hoping for a glimmer of hope. I was really kind of hoping for a glimmer of hope, and that this guy would, you know, you know, treat her with respect, and maybe even try to get the marriage annulled, and realize that this was all why. Now, see, and as he comes towards the camera here, it's actually very, very chilling, creepy stuff. You're not crying, are you? Oh, God. Yeah, she is crying, asshole. Ugh. It's just heartbreaking, man. And heartbreaking not really for for positive reasons in this context. I mean, here again, this is not a movie that makes me want to revel in the dilemma of the lead character. Let's put it that way. Ugh. Like I said, Carol Kane was only 19 years old. Only 19 years old in this part. Oh, my head's a splitting. I bet it is. And of course, he has to use the excuse that he's elderly and he needs help getting up the stairs, sloppy drunk. How can you not feel bad for her? I mean, seriously. All right. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. Watch very carefully, ladies and gentlemen. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. I like the portrait of the woman in the back, or the soldier in the portrait there. Hmm. And as we saw in the very beginning, we saw a flight of stairs. And what does Sandy do but literally grab her ass as they make their way towards, I guess, her bedroom. And we end with the clock ticking, that chilling score that very much like in the Repulsion vein, somber orchestral music. And that's how we end Wedding in White. Mercifully, this one is over. So that is my largely very mixed reaction to this movie, which, like I said, it was the big winner in Canada in 1972. And that's really all I have left to say about it. So, at any rate, thank you so much, everybody, for coming in. Dying Breed, always great to see you, sir. Like I said, tomorrow I will be doing the Czechoslovakian film from 1972 called The Girl on a Broomstick at 1 a.m. Friday morning, I will be doing Love in the Afternoon, written and directed by Eric Romer, also at 1 a.m. Saturday night, I will be doing The Tall Blonde Man with One Black Shoe, as well as The Man with One Red Shoe, double feature. And then finally on Sunday, we'll be doing The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie. Dermet Productions picture, and we fade out on that flight of stairs. I will never see Wedding in White ever again. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, and you all have a wonderful day.